are you doing?
Great. I'm doing really well. I'm at the office. I got into one of the little rooms so that the
Uh-huh.
echo and the audio is a bit better.
Uh-huh.
Um, but yeah, it's morning here. Weather's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
can't complain. Maybe you know, I'm privileged. I have to appreciate the privilege of the place I live in. Imagine 25 degrees all year round. Just 25 degrees all
I,
year round. It rains
yeah,
sometimes, but you don't even have to think about clothes. Like it's
yeah, I
just,
know.
you forget about the weather. It's the crazy. It's the lucky.
Yeah, I know. Wait, but which city are you in right now?
Medellin, Colombia.
Okay, yeah, yeah. That's how I remember it.
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm still here.
How's
And
the
how,
how's the how's the career going so far?
oh, it's going great actually. I literally retired from teaching last
Really?
week.
What are you doing? What are you doing right now?
Well, I was obviously, I set up a business, but I was still operationally active as a teacher, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
officially retired. So I'm just taking a step towards being a full-time quote unquote leader
Mm-hmm.
and just only focusing on helping my company grow and systemizing and all that kind of stuff. So
So you have
I
like an English teaching team of yourself, or it's another
yeah,
business totally unrelated?
no, it's the same. So yeah, it's
That's
it's
so
exactly.
cool.
So I've got a team, like I've got, a marketing team, I've got my accountant, I've got my I don't call them mentors, not teachers. So we have like a group of mentors. We have like 7 already,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, around 100 students
Mm-hmm.
overall. We're training a couple of companies. And
Mm-hmm.
now it's pretty much working on making sure that if a company comes tomorrow and says, we have 300 students, I have the logistics to make it happen.
That's
Um,
really cool.
yeah, it's
That's really
special.
cool. Damn.
Yeah.
How long haven't we spoken with each other?
Oh, I don't know. Uh, like a scene like this, like since I guess since Shanghai, I guess honestly,
Holy shit. Can you
that's
imagine?
like 2000. When was it? When was it?
2017.
2000. 2021. I still count with my fingers. It's 18, 19, 20,
Only
21,
how
25
many?
years.
Wait,
5 years.
only 5 years? I think at least 6 years.
Maybe 6. I don't know. It's been a
So
while.
long.
Been a while. Very different
It's
Shanghai.
been so long.
Very different
Hey, you met
Shanghai.
my friend. You met my friend.
Who?
He's not my close friend, but is his name Oscar? Oscar?
Oh yeah, Oscar. Yeah. Of course, of course. I actually met him through another friend that introduced him to me, and yeah, we're little like it was yeah, it's amazing. He lives just up the road from here actually, and we meet
Mm-hmm.
weekends.
Mm-hmm.
We go wakeboarding together. He likes to party, like still in Shanghai, to be honest. I'm like, I can't do it anymore. I'm a little bit
Really?
out of the game.
Wait, wait,
But
wait. Wait,
he works hard
how?
and plays hard.
Yeah, he is like that in Shanghai. When we first met, it's always like I always met him at parties only. That's how we met.
Yeah, he likes his party, but it's crazy because he works really hard and then he parties
Uh-huh.
hard. I don't know. I can't do it. I'm more of a party hard or just work hard. I can't do both. It's weird. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know.
Really?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're not this party age anymore.
No way. No, I can't deal
Really?
with it anymore. No, no. I mean, I go out. I go out, but like for example, I don't like to get drunk anymore. For example,
Really? Wow,
um,
you're so disciplined. I have
yeah. I mean,
respect.
I would say that. I would say that I'm actually I like to be me, but not drunk and just have fun. But I'm more into,
Really?
doing a weekend, like go wakeboarding, for example, or hang out with friends. But just going to a club itself, um, it might be fun for a bit, but then I just get like, oh, I'm done. Like I have my fun, I jump around, do stupid shit. But I guess to a point that I'm like, yeah, yeah, I don't want to be, I don't want to wake up the next day tired. Like I appreciate my mornings, I appreciate my days. I can't stand a hangover. Like I can't do that anymore. I go, nope, no more. Like Mavis, I'm gonna be 34 in a couple of weeks. I'm a big
Already
boy now.
34? I thought,
Yeah.
wait,
Wait, I thought it was
holy
more.
shit. I
No.
know. Like, I just feel like maybe 35, not by your appearance, apparently, but just by how long it has been.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Oh my God. How are you? How's because the last time I spoke to you, you told me you were working for Amazon, right? You're
Yes.
still working for them, right?
Yeah. I think it's been 3 years and a half.
Okay. I've seen you in
Yeah.
some pictures, doing a presentation and stuff, and
It's very it's very
you're
different
looking
than
all
how you know.
professional.
I know, right? It's such a big contrast.
Yeah, for sure. No, but yeah, you have that side for sure. Because we also met in the parties and all that, but I believe that everyone's had their professional side. We just don't, I guess we don't meet that aspect of ourselves very often,
Who would have
especially in
thought?
Shanghai.
Who would have thought? Yeah,
The
it changed
madness
so
of
much.
Shanghai.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. The things you're seeing from my post is only one part of it. Like just the tip of the
Are
iceberg.
you kidding me?
Yeah, yeah.
All right. So let's go into a little conversation about it. So that people can. So let's give
We
you some context. So
yeah.
I want you to describe Shanghai. Um,
Hmm.
you know, pre pandemic. What kind of city it is? Like, well, how would you describe it?
Oh, we're recording, okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
pre-pandemic. What is it?
pre-pan
What's Shanghai like pre-pandemic? Yeah, how would you describe Shanghai pre-pandemic?
pre-pandemic, I wanted to first look at that part if you still recognize. Did you see the
Oh
toe?
yes, yeah, I can see the band. Yeah.
Do you miss that?
Are you in Pudong or Pushi?
It's the bund is on that
And what
building, but
side are you on? You're on that side or
I
you're in
mean
Pushi?
I'm Kushi, yes.
Yeah, yeah,
And
okay.
then
Nice
that
location then. You're near People's Square.
yeah.
I recognize the location because I used to live around People's
Yeah,
Square, close to People's
yeah,
Square.
yeah. I am right now with my friend because lockdown is making me go crazy, and then I just decided to move to my friend's place because I can't
Okay,
really.
good.
Otherwise, I'm definitely gonna be going mental because they say they're gonna seal the whole city until beginning of June. Can you imagine? Yeah. So back to the topic. Pre-pandemic
What's
Shanghai.
Shanghai like?
As a Shanghainese girl, I am super proud. First of all, I would say, like, I would describe it as somewhere that's really tolerant compared to other cities of China. And then people are very, very free-minded. They're not gonna freak out if there's any exotic cultural or invasion invasion in a good way, like they're not going to be
And
freaking out.
foreigners coming in.
Yeah, and
Oh, they
then
love for it.
they're
Like I would say, you guys put us on pedestals, to be honest, maybe a bit too much. But I would say that I felt I was abundant in Shanghai. I felt abundance. Like, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of people from different, like you can have students, you could have multimillionaires just sharing the same table and having fun and not giving a crap. Like I love that.
yeah,
I feel like there's an equality. There's an equality. You can sense different nationalities just sharing and having fun together. I just felt it like that, and things are moving. I started to see a little bit of what the business side of the world looks like. That inspired me a little bit, like subconsciously started to creep in, which was great.
It was very, I would say it cannot be as free as like those democratic countries, like Western countries, because we just have this we have the ceiling of freedom. But I would say like Shanghai pre-pandemic, it was pretty wild. Like there is certain things going down, like where people are trying to test the water, and then they're trying to do something. They're always trying to innovate, no matter it's cultural wise or it's like what we're doing used to be comfortable life, but once we know something is going to happen or something new that is coming up, like a trend, we're always the first one to try. And then talking about cultural, it's like we are always promoting new stuff, and then people are not like closing their mind whenever that's coming from the Western, and then they're always welcoming
open-minded. Very open-minded to new ideas, new businesses.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like if, for example, NFT right now, or something that is really sensitive in China, like metaverse and NFT, which the government is not supporting, but here we have little seminars going on with both Chinese and foreigners giving presentation about these topics. And also like AI and like cryptocurrency, even though like the government is saying we're not open to that fully, like our market is not welcoming that, but people are always willing to learn. And now if you're hanging out with Shanghainese people in Shanghai, like you're a foreigner new to Shanghai, you are not gonna, like, you don't have to worry about, oh shit, are we gonna talk on the same level, or are they gonna be welcoming what my ideas are? Like people are so used to getting ideas that are new, and people are really, really willing to welcome you, listen to what you want to say. I would just say it's very, very easy to, really get close to the community here and then quickly adapt to this new life. And it used to be like this, but now I think the whole vibe is kind of, people are scared. People are being careful. Even the expats community is being very careful. That's what I feel like. They're so confined in this not dangerous, I would say sensitive environment, that they want to keep their job. They don't want to get kicked out. They don't want to not ever be able to come back to China. So they're very careful about what they're going to say.
They're starting to become Chinese. The bubble has bursted, because I feel as a foreigner, when I live there, like you live in this bubble and you feel like you're in abundance. You can do whatever you want. You can be entitled to even do things that could be illegal. I knew you've met a lot of foreigners that they do crazy stuff. They don't care about the police. They just don't give a shit. And now
it used to be really illegal.
Yeah. So now foreigners are starting to feel what an authoritarian, the real China, in a way, quote unquote, the authority, the elites of China has pushed into their communities. Even the expats, the foreigners are trying to feel it, what a Chinese life could be like, where you kind of really maybe talk about whatever you want in public because of being scared of losing your job or not being able to come to China. That scarcity mindset suddenly, boom. Well, you're forced to. I don't know.
I feel like it used to be an environment where you guys that are not from China originally, you come here for the experience. You come here to be someone that wanna have a new experience, learn new stuff, just to see the world that is outside their own place. But right now, it's just simply not that easy. Like, you come here with a purpose. The people who choose to stay, even at this time of the life, they're living here for a purpose, like almost like comfort zone. Like, I guess I have to obey everything here because I'm in a situation where it seems like I can't go any more higher in China, but I also don't want to lose everything I have. Now I'm not for the I am not for the experience where I can just simply leave or I can just have this chill life in China. But now it seems like the people who choose to stay, it's more like, okay, I am getting a comfortable life, but I am living in fear and I am obeying. I am not coming to experience. I am coming here and staying here because I am accepted temporarily. I am allowed to stay. So I have to shut my mouth. That's what people do here. For Chinese all the time. But for expats community, I feel like it's more like following the rules. I cannot bring new ideas to the society because right now it's like a regime that's not welcoming any new sparkles, any new voices from both the Western and here local. It's very strict.
I can't imagine, to be honest. I was so jealous at first, I remember being locked up here and seeing you on Instagram partying on the band. And I saw, oh my God, like you guys did it, and I was, it's crazy. I was feeling so jealous, I was going through my own inner battle, let's say, which actually was an amazing outcome, to be honest. I think the pandemic in a way allowed me to see so many things about myself that in a commonly day you can escape from, but somehow the idea of having to go within and experience yourself in pain, getting a coach, working on yourself started to shift my mindset, right? So I'm very grateful to a certain level, but I do think I was a little jealous back in the day when I saw that, and now the whole West.
No.
Sorry?
I have a question though.
Go for it.
Yeah. So when I think it's like early 2020, like around March, when everything China makes it very under control. But how is it like in Colombia, for example? Like, what's the situation there? How's the regulations towards virus?
Some freedom. Okay. So, because I've lived in Shanghai, I'm from Europe. It was like I could see China, the first ones hit, with the pandemic, obviously. And I knew, I saw it. And I was like, okay, this is coming. People in Colombia were like, whatever. Then it started in Europe. I'm like, get ready. I got my company ready because I used to do face-to-face classes and all that. So I got everything ready. I wanted to find a system where I could work with groups online, and Zoom. I found Zoom as an amazing tool because it has breakout rooms. You can divide people in pairs, so you can like mimic a real class. So anyway, I informed all my clients. I said, okay, if a lockdown happens in Colombia, we are ready to go. online. Nobody, trust me, not one student answered that message. They're thinking, whatever. I remember at the gym,
you're really forward thinking.
but I was thinking about that. But I was also at the gym, and I started not to give handshakes. I was the first one to be restrictive. And everyone was like, oh, whatever. And I'm like, I started to fist bump people. I was me at the beginning. I was the first one to be strict. And when it hit, I was ready, right? I was ready. I knew what it was going to take, but what I wasn't ready for, if you look at it, they locked Colombia up for 6 months. For a developing country,
Really?
that's insane. Like, no help.
Yeah.
Just imagine, no help. There's poverty in this country. There's no help. And
What
they
is
locked
this?
us up for 6 months. Like in Europe, you could have, a little money here and there going on, but in Colombia, zero. It's a developing country, but it was like, for a developing country, one of the longest lockdowns.
Really?
They had protests. Another thing that was really interesting was that when the thing was starting to open up again, they changed. Colombia was going through a situation where they were going to be rated. I don't know how you call this thing, but like countries have AAA, triple B, like credit ratings. Like you have a credit rate. Yeah, countries have credit rates. So if they want to borrow money, it's like you go borrow money from the bank, you have a credit score. I think countries have their own credit score to have cheaper loans from the World Bank or whatever.
So they're really careful with the economy strategy, because it can go collapse very easily.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But what happened is that they were following the steps of European countries, the United States. For me, Colombia doesn't really make their decisions. I feel it's in the international community is like, oh, I need to behave like this country. I need to behave like that country to look good or bad. I feel they don't make their internal decisions. I feel the international community influences their decisions to a large extent. So they were going to get rated. So they had to make some adjustments with, like, they had to do like a tax reform. So they did a tax reform, and it was insane. So everyone went to the streets, and it was like protests going on around the country. But in Colombia, protests are not just going to the streets and just going, hey. It got violent, like to the point that the logistics of the whole country got stopped. Like there were groups of people, violent groups of people that exist here that were like causing real trouble. Like you could say that a lot of the taxes went up. One of the ironies that I realized is like everything went up. A lot of things went up, but there was a funny thing is like I was at the beginning of the pandemic, I was a very strict person with the pandemic. Then I started getting informed, and then I started to question everything. And then I got to the point that I was the first one to say, fuck the mask. I was the first one to say, fuck this, fuck that. Like I was the first one to do the fist bump, and everyone was like, what are you doing? And then the first one to be like, oh, get over it. So at that point, I was just like,
that?
I don't know. I think, first of all, when I started to see incongruency with the news, like what was the truth and what was being forced to me, like being forced or coerced to do something started to feel really uncomfortable. I just wasn't happy at all with that. And being an entrepreneur, you have a sense of freedom of choice. Like if you work in a restaurant, if you don't get a vaccine or don't do what the government tells you, you don't have a job. But if you're an entrepreneur, you have a level of freedom of choice. So my brain was already like, okay, I can make a decision. So when that came around, I started to research, listen to this 3-hour podcast, 4-hour podcast, Joe Rogan, all these doctors that were questioning stuff. So when I started to listen to it, I was like, okay, look, I can make my choice. And it was just like from all fronts, just force. And the more it forced, the more I wanted to rebel. So I was like, that was my character, basically, how I dealt with it. I don't know where I was at. Okay, so they did this reform. And one of the things that made me pissed off was that, it's like they were like, oh, wear a mask, do this, and we will get over it. We'll do the right thing, But then the tax
Mhm.
reform, they put everything up, and there's like a big company like Coca-Cola here, Postolon or whatever, and the sugar. They didn't tax the sugar. They actually, I don't even know, so it's incongruency. For example, like you have the pandemic, everyone wearing a mask, but you're selling Coca-Cola on offer in the supermarket here. It's like, it
That's
just
not
doesn't make
even
sense. It's like,
that's not
look,
even
if you
essentials.
just imagine if you wanted to save the world, you just stop selling Coca-Cola and fast food for 2 years. Trust me, you change people's lives for good. But no, let's put everyone a mask. No choice, but you have a choice of fucking up your body with sugar and shit, and then but yeah, so you have a choice in that. So it was just, look, people can argue otherwise. I'm sure there's a great argument to counter my argument, which is fine. But that was kind of my feeling back in the day, and when I saw that, it was just. But then you had all these people protesting, and the government needed to switch the strategy. So they started to bring restrictions down through pressure. They needed, like, okay, I don't want this to keep going because it was pretty hectic. So let's get people out socializing so that people start to forget and not to focus on the government as much. Because I believe when people are angry and they find one enemy and the government becomes the enemy, and you lock people up and the government becomes the enemy, that's dangerous for the government, because the government doesn't want to be the enemy. Never. They
Yeah,
can't be. They have to point the finger somewhere else. But in Colombia, the government started to
exactly.
be the enemy. And then the government's like, okay, no. Okay, let's open up the restaurants. And they started to open things up again. So,
When
yeah.
it really affects with people's life, with how their income, their freedom. Let's put freedom away. When it really affects their income, the food on the table, it will make a difference. Like
Basics.
in Shanghai, like we're
So yeah, that's
really,
another
really.
level. That's another
Mhm.
level. So our level, we had food, we have a lot of things. Well, some people not, because there's real poverty. Can you tell us a little bit about, you know, from being, living a normal life to suddenly locked up? Like, how was that experience?
We have to go back to 2020,
Let's
where
go to, you got locked up in 2020 also for a little bit, right?
yeah, because it broke out, I think the thing broke out in the end of 2019 or end of 2020.
And
It's
officially, it's maybe, and maybe it was a bit earlier than they told us. I don't know. There's a lot of theories there for sure.
yeah, yeah.
Oh
So
God.
wait, but it broke out like what we heard the thing about breaking out in the end of 2019 or
I
2020.
think so. I think it's end of 2019. To be honest, I think, and it reached
2019, yes,
Europe
yes,
early
and
2020. March
then
2020 was the big lockdowns would start to happen. I think in Western world. I don't know in China.
yeah, in China it started to have a countrywide lockdown in the end of January 2020. And then we got locked down for like I think 1.5 months to 2 months.
Okay.
Yeah, and then that was like the first real official lockdown that we experienced. And then you see us partying, right? That's when
Yes.
that's when the
May.
rest
It
of
was
the
in May, I believe. In May, you were free. You were going out. You were doing all that stuff. I remember. I
I
think
think
so.
it was mid-April, and we started to
Mhm.
have the real freedom. And then things went back to normal after May, like completely. And then for 1 year, and there are a little small and medium-sized breakout somewhere in China, but it's not like totally locked down. And then it was like this until I think at the end of 2021. Now we're in 2020, and then the things start to break out again, first in some southern area of China, and then I feel so far away from this. I'm like, this is officially over for us. Like the people in Shanghai feel like,
Especially seeing what's going on in Europe, people opening up, all this
yeah,
thing that, okay, it's not so scary, Omicron anymore, like we can cope. So you're also thinking, okay, we're done too, right?
exactly. I'm thinking like, oh my God, next next step is we going outside of China. Like we finally open the borders, and then finally flights are normal again. We thought that's going to happen soon this year after the Winter Olympics finished, right?
Mhm.
And then I start to see some things going on around Shanghai. Like, whoa, seems like there's big breakouts of Omicron somewhere, and then things are getting really strict. But you are not people living there, so you have limited resources of knowing what is happening really. Like because the internet got like the contents got blocked, and then the people living there, they try to convey some message, or they're posting something about extreme regulations, and then action taken by the government, but these messages cannot pass around for so long. And then I just feel like I'm so distant from those. Shanghai will never be like this, you know? And then one day, after my trip to Disneyland, it just started to get real, because at 3 a.m., like we got all, like for example, my neighborhood all got like woke up by the neighborhood committee and saying, "Oh, hey guys, we're gonna start take tests every single day for this week." They say only this week. So I thought it's maybe just a sudden, like a temporary thing, just to make sure there's no spread going on. And then who would have thought like it just got boomed? And then we got officially locked down since mid March. And then we were promised that we're gonna get out in 2 weeks if everything's
It's
under
like
control.
always, it's like the same playbook that they use at the beginning. Oh, it's only 2 weeks. They used it again. They used it again in the second time round. That's
The
scary.
same thing. It's the same thing as what Joe Rogan said. I mean, the United States are like defending themselves very well for like things like this. When they see some sign of like the authority wanting to put pressure on people or to make further movement, like to limit
Restrictions
people's freedom,
or
they would stop it from the beginning. But we are not that. I would not say we're not smart, but we wouldn't take such action like, oh, we need to cut it right now, or we need to stop
or
it from
something like that.
we're just letting it happen. Some people are not even aware of it. Like some people are not even imagining that it could be like this for so long. They just don't have this in mind. Like we're just grown up being told what to do. So whatever happens, happens. Let's see how it goes. And then no one's like judging it. No one's making any early assumptions about how this trend could be, how bad it could be. Like when the United States first put the mandate on, oh, the people who need to work, they have to have this vaccine proof, like, and you have to have this kind of proof on the mobile phone. We're going to track people. And then they say, no, it's not going to happen. Because when it happens, it's like opening up the Pandora's box. So for us, we just let it all happen. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, you said so, so we do so, until to the point where people are really mad, like what we are going through right now. I just feel like we just let go everything at the beginning. That's how we turn to this point right now.
Yeah. Every culture has its own mindset that acts in one way or the other, and in certain points, maybe you could say if you have a community feel as a society, for certain aspects, complying is a good thing to a certain extent. But then when it comes to extreme cases like this, maybe you could be taken advantage of as a society, and bad things can happen on the other end of the spectrum. So I guess no extremes are necessary, are no extremes are good in a way, but it feels you've been put in an extreme that requires the other side to take action. You know, the rebellious side to take action seems like it. I mean, I've seen some videos that you've posted where you had to take a test every day at 8 a.m. and they were calling you on, like, you know, the community. It's like you have your building, your community, and they come to call you. What if you didn't go? What happens?
This is a story worth telling for like, so it's so ridiculous. So first, everybody is like, fine, we need to make sure that we don't have any positive cases in the neighborhood. So everybody's like, okay, fine, let's do it every day. Hopefully in 7 days without any positive cases, we are free to go. But now, like 2 weeks, 2 weeks after, it turns into something like, bring your phone with you, and then we're gonna have a special code that we programmed, and then you're gonna show to the medical people, and then make sure that you scan it, and then you take the test. 6 hours later, you get the result, right? This is on the system here. And then what if people don't take it? And then the people, like, we have every neighborhood, we have some kind of people that are in charge of the whole well-being of the community. There were volunteers, but they were given a power that is so that they never experienced before. They're just normal people. Maybe they have not so good of a job, but they volunteered to do it. And then they got this power of threatening people, of, you know, telling people
police can come. If you don't, we'll report you to the police.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah. Right?
Yeah. First wave of really negative aspects we have to deal with is this kind of people. And they're not, sometimes they're nice, but sometimes they're not. And then they're really abusing their power. That's what I feel like. And then if you don't go, they're just gonna say really bad shit to you, abusive language, and then they're gonna literally kick on your door if you don't go, bang on your door super loud. Don't care what you're doing, even 6 a.m. in the morning. It could happen. It happened to some of my friends. And then they have this super loud speaker, like, blowing up your ear if you don't go down.
Like, embarrass you. Then they use they use shame as a way to force you. It's like, oh, look, all the neighbors are gonna think of you that you're like this crazy person, not wanting to do what it's the right thing to do, and they use that as coercion psychologically.
They make people, you know, have bad opinion about you. They want you to feel self-conscious. They want you to feel like, they want you to psychologically feel like, oh, maybe I am the bad person.
Yeah.
They're morally kidnapping you if you don't obey what they say, especially in the neighborhood full of old people. Yeah. And they will, so we have the social media platform in China. It's like WhatsApp, but in China it's WeChat. You used it before, right?
Yeah.
So ever since the pandemic, if the lockdown happens, every neighborhood, every compound, they will create a WeChat group, maybe over 100 people, all the residents in this group. Every time, every day, at a certain point of the day, we start to have COVID tests, and the group manager, which is one of those volunteers, will post in the group saying, hey, everybody come down and then get the test. And then they ask people to put their real name and then their apartment number on their WeChat profile in the group so that they know where you live and who you are. If you don't do it, they will be like, we're going to kick you out of the group. If you die alone or something like that, or you don't have enough food, the neighborhood is not going to take care of you.
And again, that's a great point. The food part, that's huge, right? It's been huge aspect. I heard that, in China, obviously the diet is more like fresh food, so how has that, what has happened with that? Like, how do you get groceries? How do you get food? And what's been the issues in regards to that? Because that's a great way to say, look,
Yeah.
I heard that 2 people per neighborhood can go shopping or whatever. And then I guess if the neighborhood leaders decide this person's not going to get food, they can actually threaten you with no food, literally, right?
Yeah.
Can they do that? Do they have
Yeah.
that power? That's insane.
They-
So food, like
they
you
can.
literally die of hunger if you don't comply. That's
Nobody
crazy.
has ever been. I've heard no stories about people being punished and then caused a real starvation problem, but this is definitely a way of them controlling you. So first, first few weeks, it's like volunteers are allowed to go outside the compound to buy food for the residents, and then the residents buy through them. And then it gets too out of control. So people are like, we're all going to be sealed in this compound, but we're going to have our resources to kind of, get food from the outside. So now we have this kind of group buy packages posted in the group. Now we have this kind of online group buy stuff that posted every day through the neighborhood managers into the resident group. And then everybody have to pay like a really high price for just some, mediocre vegetables. Like imagine you have to pay $15 for some carrots and then cucumbers for a package. And then there is no other choice. They'd be like, oh, we have scarcity going on with the groceries, so we cannot make sure that everybody get the food they want, but these are the vegetable packages you can get. And then people start to buy, and then of course people want to have like snacks and chocolate ice cream, something like that. And then to our neighborhood, it's good because you just need to have someone to start a group buy, and then the whole neighborhood hit the minimum order of this particular thing you're trying to buy, and then there are vendors trying to, send these groceries to your neighborhood. You just need to pay, but they do have a minimum order because of the logistics are all stopped. You can't just be like, oh, Mavis wanted to eat ice cream now, so she ordered one. You had to make sure that you gather like at least 50 servings of something, so the vendor will send stuff to you.
Right. So you get it as a community, as a team. You kind of like, okay, let's all order, and then you can share it, with your name.
Yes, exactly. Okay. So it went well for like 2 to 3 weeks, and then the things are worsening in Shanghai. And then they started to point the problem to the logistics. They're saying, oh, it's getting worse. But do you know why it's getting worse? Because you guys are buying too much food. And it's passed around by trucks, by cargos, by delivery people. It's on the food, it's on the package. You guys are not disinfecting so well, so that's your fault. And we're gonna limit the things you guys are ordering. So there, and then the next, and then because in China the orders are pushed down like by different levels. It's like a funnel. It goes down. Top maybe just have one order that's very simple and clear, and then everyone gets to explain what this order is like to the last person that's actually in charge of our people, so they can make up some very different various kind of orders that are ridiculous. For my neighborhood, I'm very, very lucky. We can still get all kinds of food we want. Just make sure that before you hand it over to residents, you need to disinfect them very well. Just put them in a corner, disinfect, and then you're good to go. Just make sure that you have a vendor that has qualification and documents to prove that they're licensed, not just some people try to make money. But for other compounds that my friends live, their neighborhood managers literally told them, you cannot get any food from other vendors except ours. Means they can only sell stuff in the group through their own resources. I could only imagine there are some kind of corruptions going on. If no,
Yeah, I can. Yeah, it's incredible. In a way, it's funny. It's interesting. Like all these restrictions have created new human interactions, new human relations that have to a level that it hasn't really happened before, where in some ways people are nice, in other ways they can be corrupt and coerce people, like at local levels. Like it seems like somebody says, let's say, okay, everybody has to lock down, and there's this belief, okay, we all have to do it, and then they just behave within that reality, and there's different behaviors based on that, and that's really, really interesting because it exposes the different aspects of society. It's like a certain freedom within a restriction. You know what I mean? It's like a certain human innate experience. Like on one level, people can be corrupt and be really bad, and these people are put in power. They can actually be really nice and try to be nice, or it can be really bad. So even though it's restricted, there's this level of freedom that is given to certain people. It's
it can
crazy.
be really good and it can be really bad. It's
Exactly.
good because I don't know if it's the right word, but it's sort of like autonomy in different areas. You just receive this thing from the top, and then you guys, your end goal is to keep the positive cases under control, but at the same time, the order is not so clear. So every neighborhood has their own way of management. So this is very interesting.
Crazy. So it's like a centralization, but decentralization of behaviors based on that bigger purpose. That's interesting.
I feel like Shanghai is probably the only city that's going through this. That's also why there's so much chaos, so much drama every day. But still, like for me, I had bad experience, of course, but also good experience with my neighbors because of the food. It's like we cannot get everything we want, but we're just gonna exchange what we have to get what we want. Like sometimes we have, for example, if I stock up on so much food that I don't want to eat, but I really crave for something else, or in my home, I have life essentials that I really need, but I lack. Since we already created this group of residents, we somehow get closer by exchanging stuff and asking if anybody needs anything. It's almost like we are helping each other than being helped by,
It's really interesting. Like you see all this, I was ready to speak about a lot of the and there are a lot of crazy, sad, and really, really tough things that maybe we can speak, because I have 5 minutes and then I have a meeting, but we can have another chat about that and go into more detail.
Definitely.
I like this. But there's always some beauty in the midst of chaos, in the midst of such hardships. And you could possibly argue, is it good, is it bad? There's a lot of side, like it is the right thing to do. There's a lot of sides to it. Yes. But humans find a way. It's incredible. And there's always some beauty. Exactly. There's a beauty in it. Like what you just shared, it's also beautiful. It's special. So I think that's...
it's not all bad, but the good thing is just like you only know this much if you're not in China. So it could be like one-sided story. You're just seeing negative stuff, but also there are some good stuff going on.
Yeah. Definitely. Mavis, I think it's best if we leave it on this note for now. And then we can get back on it. I think because sometimes I was worried. An hour should be a little bit. They booked a meeting for 9 a.m. and I didn't realize. I was like, oh shit, I should have extended. But it feels like we can go for hours easily. Exactly. I can feel it.
Like a Joe Rogan podcast.
Pretty much. I realize that actually, it's more natural to have long form chats than an hour. It just always seems too short. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
It's crazy.
But I really enjoy this. I
Yeah.
really should do more.
Yeah, let's do it. I love it. So let's book another session soon, and then we can maybe continue
Yes.
this chat. Sounds amazing.
Yeah, of
All right.
course. Yes, yes.
Thank you
Have a
so much
nice
for your time, Mavis. Have
You're
a great
welcome.
evening, and we'll do this
Yeah.
soon. All right.
Yes, let's do it soon. Have a nice
Bye
day.
bye. You too.
Bye bye.
Bye.